everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Spirituality at Work vlog, or that's my working title for the moment. Anyway, I started with that little clip of a video. It's actually taken from the top of Mount Vesuvius, which I visited on a recent holiday. And I wanted to share it with you because it ticks an awful lot of boxes for me. It was incredibly poignant. It's majestic. It is this still active volcano, so as you could see that there was still smoke coming out of it, and the smell of sulfur every now and then, and it was so poignant to me. It was awesome. I suppose it was full of awe, a very awe-inspiring, that sense of kind of being much smaller than something, and this kind of being put in my place, as it were, in terms of the enormity of the volcano, the power of the volcano, and also the sadness and the death and destruction that it caused to Pompeii and Herculaneum. Also, there's a sense of, I originally studied classics in university, and for a long time I thought, what am I going to do with this in terms of work? And so there's this lovely sense of completion and meaningfulness to me, because it's, now I regularly refer to the classics, the ancient classics, and it's kind of something that I really love and is very meaningful to me. And bringing my sons up the mountain was just a fantastic experience, and a sense of, coming full circle. And so I want today to talk about that sense of poignant work and meaningfulness, because it is so relevant to what's going on today, what we call the Great Reshuffle, which is really, as I say, an existential exit, or, an existential review. Because what COVID did was it shifted our very habitual perception, our way of viewing our lives, which is very kind of like, I get up every morning, I do this, I do that, everything practically the same and highly habitual. And because it jolted us out of that, and also because it was something, this tiny virus connected us to something much, much bigger. It forced us to look at the bigger picture. We became all kind of global victims of the virus. So there was a sense of collectivity, of being together, but also, at the mercy of this virus, and rather than masters of nature, very much participants in nature and vulnerable. So it was this huge jolt in perspective, but a very, very valuable one, a hugely valuable one, because if we look at it this way, we could look at it and kind of say, well, now we've learned to have two different perspectives. We can have the micro, very narrow lens perspective on our work, that we need to get the next task done and the next task done, and also that bigger, wider perspective that we sometimes need to make sure that what we're doing with our heads and noses to the grindstone connects to where we actually want to go, and the bigger picture of what's meaningful to us. So it's kind of two different gears that are hugely useful and relevant to us. So really what we're talking about here is the evolution of us all, the evolution of mankind, our humankind, and employee evolution. And so really the employer that recognizes that will be the one to actually create an environment, a meaningful environment, to harness that huge opportunity, which is what it is to create something, to be able to create a space that is poignant and awe-inspiring, and that even if it's kind of like a way of kind of helping us to connect meaning to the mundane aspects, because of course we've all got those mundane tasks in our work, but that is the great opportunity of this existential exit, or great review, or whatever you want to call it, to be able to create and harness spiritual capital. If you've ever had that experience of something that was really meaningful to you, that you just, no matter what else was on your plate, you got it done because it excited you, it was just you, that you had the energy to get up much earlier than you usually do, or to stay up later, or to find the time, you found the money or the time or the energy or the skills, whatever it was, to get it done because it just mattered to you. And that's what spiritual capital is, that energy that we can find when something is meaningful to us. And really the future of work, and indeed everything, but the future workplace will actually, I believe, health and safety matters will also cover spiritual health. So in the same way that it's not okay to put a colleague or employee or a team, a teammate or whatever at physical risk, or indeed to harm them in any way in their mental health. In the same way, it will not be acceptable to actually disconnect them from meaning, or to give them meaningless tasks, or to not be able to explain this is how it fits into the bigger picture. This is why our end consumer will really appreciate it. This is how this cog fits into to the rest of the bigger wheels. And I really, that's already kind of being mentioned in kind of the European law courts, and I can talk about that later in some of the kind of the spiritual distresses and disorders that are being seen in the workplace. But it's on the way down the tracks. So again, the workplace that actually creates that sense of meaning, of poignancy, of we see your bigger picture, we're listening, and we know it can change. So we're able to support you in this kind of changing journey, as it were. It's a bit of sometimes a corny word, an overused word, but that changing living and health that we all have, because we're all at different we all have different spiritual needs, and different needs they change, and the demands change on us throughout our lifespan and what's going on in our lives. So that's just a couple of thoughts, but yeah, just to kind of think about your own spiritual health and consider what is actually meaningful to you, and where do you disconnect other people or team colleagues or whatever it might be from their meaning, because spiritual capital is where it's at. All right, until next week, talk to you soon. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.